scholarship. He won a scholarship at the age of 16 and was teaching physics at 19. She won a scholarship to study law at Harvard University. Admission. Many students qualify for admission to the university this year. He submitted an application for admission to the university. She applied for admission to the club. Grant. The college awarded him a grant of $50,000 to study law at Harvard University. He was granted money to buy a house. Learning environment. The trust and bond between a teacher and students create a perfect learning environment. My school is the perfect learning environment. Study abroad. I am going to study abroad next year, but I don't know where. Study abroad nowadays is one of the fastest ways to enter and settle in your favorite countries. Gap year, a year between leaving high school and starting university. That someone spends on working or traveling. Some students decide to take a gap year before they begin university. After finishing school, she took a gap year and traveled through the UK and Canada. Gossip. She's always gossiping. I like having a good gossip now and then. Bookworm. My brother is a bookworm. He is always reading. I am not a bookworm. I do not like to read. Distance learning. It is possible for pupils in rural communities to take advantage of distance learning educational programs. Thanks to distance learning, many students no longer have to attend classes in person, but can study online. Enroll in. Mary has enrolled in an advanced painting class last week in order to improve her craft. There are currently over 500 students enrolled in our French language program. To play truant equals to skive off. Mary has enrolled in an advanced painting class last week in order to improve her craft. There are currently over 500 students enrolled in our French language program. To play truant equals to skive off. It is bad news when youngsters begin to play truant from school. He often played truant and wrote his own sick notes. Absent. He is often absent from school. She has been absent from his desk for 2 weeks. Do an exam equals sit an exam equals take an exam. I have to sit an exam next week. I'm taking my English exam tomorrow. To retake a course. Students do not need special permission to retake a course. May I retake a course for a higher grade? Enforcement. He works in law enforcement. The enforcement of laws relating to environmental protection has always been difficult. At a slow leisurely pace. Let's start at a slow pace. We could walk the entire distance at a slow pace. We strolled along at a leisurely pace. A formal examination. She had to take a formal examination before she could graduate. He is preparing for her certification examination. To drop out of college. Too many students drop out of college after only 1 year. He dropped out of college after his first semester because of money. She dropped out of college in her second year. Preschooler. I wanted to see how far my son's concepts went in math when he was a preschooler. When I was a preschooler, I had a dentist named Dr. Williams. Vocational school. The curriculum at a vocational school is more career-focused. The vocational school provides education for young people so that they can qualify themselves. Productive. I had a very productive day of working yesterday. Our last meeting was very productive. Primary school. Learning to write is one of the most important things that a child at primary school will learn. My sister is a primary school teacher. I have studied English since I was in a primary school. Secondary school. She taught history at a secondary school. When I was in a secondary school, all I ever wanted is a job to pay all the bills. Postgraduate school. He finally earned a master's degree in postgraduate school. She is a full-time student on postgraduate school. Attentive. He is an attentive student. Mary asked Tom to be attentive during meetings. The speaker likes to have an attentive audience. To master a language. If you want to master a language, you need to learn to think in that language. In order to master a language, you must listen, read, speak, write, in that order. Linguistic ability. Her linguistic ability served her well in her chosen profession. The new recruit was tested to have good linguistic ability. To speak fluently. The students were trained to speak fluently and without unnecessary hesitations. She speaks several languages fluently. To take up a language. I've decided to take up a language. It's just as important to take up a language you enjoy since it would be helpful in everyday life. Transmission of knowledge. Universities are involved in the production and transmission of knowledge. It's a cultural transmission of knowledge from generation to generation. Intensive. An intensive course of treatment will take at least several days. This is an intensive course in business writing. To pay attention to. He didn't pay attention to details. She's never paid that much attention to his opinions. He paid no attention to her warning. Focus on. He focused on his studies. She focused on her work. Background. Poverty can affect anyone, regardless of age, race, gender or social background. Despite their different social backgrounds, they became good friends. Progress rapidly. Many children who make a slow start but then make progress rapidly. Julia progresses rapidly in her music lessons. Adapt. Tom soon adapted himself to school life. The young adapted themselves to the change quickly. Interactive acting with each other. The class was very interactive during the class discussion. The training was very interactive. Her classes were very interactive. Students were reading, writing, talking, and reflecting in meaningful ways. Face-to-face learning. In his opinion, face-to-face learning will benefit the learner the most. They preferred face-to-face learning for communication purposes. Learning activities still take place in a face-to-face learning scenario. To give feedback, corrections or information about a person's performance of a task. I liked the way the professor gave feedbacks to his students. Once he found a mistake on the unfinished release draft, he gave feedbacks and corrections immediately. Interactive learning. Interactive learning is a hands-on approach to help students become more engaged and retain more material. Each class has been designed to maximize interactive learning, deliberation, and reflection. Higher education. Some school leavers prefer to start work rather than enter higher education. My brother moved to the United Kingdom to continue his higher education. A vocational course. For every 4 students who start a vocational course in upper secondary, 1 drops out. Peter chose a vocational course at the secondary level. To disrupt lessons. There are many reasons why pupils disrupt lessons. It's very hard to call out pupils who consistently talk or disrupt lessons if you don't know their names.
To disrupt lessons. There are many reasons why pupils disrupt lessons. It's very hard to call out pupils who consistently talk or disrupt lessons if you don't know their names. Mandatory. It is mandatory that all students take 2 years of English. It is mandatory to comply with the legislation. Educational. I found our trip very educational. Watching television can be very educational. Science programs are very educational and interesting for both children and adults. Academic. These phrases are more suitable for academic essays. He's certainly bright, but he's not very academic. Learning atmosphere. Games offer students a fun-filled and relaxing learning atmosphere. New emerging technology makes learning atmosphere pleasant and conducive. Extracurricular activities. The students took a lot of interest in extracurricular activities. We have extracurricular activities after school. Lecturer. The lecturer illustrated his point with a diagram on the blackboard. The lecturer would end up her speech with a joke. Academic subject. History is an academic subject. We've learned a variety of academic subjects. Do badly in an exam. She is a good student. She's never done badly in an exam. Have you ever done badly in an exam? Transcript. If the student wants a copy of his transcript, he should go to the registrar's office. Each applicant must submit his transcript with his application. Internship. Your ability to write about your internship experience on your resume is incredibly important. Jane has a summer internship at a local TV station. Extracurricular activities. We have extracurricular activities after school. Generally, volunteer activities and always extracurricular activities. Social and cultural life. Advertisements have greatly affected our social and cultural life. Ethiopia's coffee ceremony is an integral part of their social and cultural life. Tuition fees. Tuition fees are free and the teaching methods and facilities are great. The tuition fees went up this year. Grant. Did they grant Tom permission to leave? He was granted a patent on his invention. He was granted admission to the university. Dormitory. He lived in a college dormitory. She was reading a math textbook in the dormitory. He hangs out in the school dormitory. Reach one's full potential. We will help your child reach his full potential. Our hope for Bill is that he will reach his full potential. Bachelor's degree. It took him 6 years to get his bachelor's degree in math. I graduated from City University with a bachelor's degree in law. Hit the books. I have to go home and hit the books because I have a big test tomorrow. It's time to hit the books.
Hit the books. I have to go home and hit the books because I have a big test tomorrow. It's time to hit the books. Master's degree. I have got a master's degree in business administration. He got his master's degree 3 years ago. Mature student. He studied law as a mature student. There are many benefits to being a mature student. Public schools. He was educated at a public school. My son finished a public school a few years ago. Schoolboy error. Lucy made a schoolboy error on her English test. Tom made a schoolboy error by accepting a lunch invitation from a journalist. Single-sex schools. My sister happily attended a single-sex school for 6 years. I would never send my kids to a single-sex school. To attend classes. In European universities, students are not required to attend classes. Do not waste your money on tuition if you are not even going to attend classes. Some students may not be able to pass the test in class because they don't attend classes regularly. To learn something by heart. You should try to learn by heart these English words and phrases. The boy learned the poem by heart. To meet a deadline. I'm trying to meet a deadline. Do you take personal responsibility for failing to meet a deadline? To pass with flying colors. He is studying hard and he will pass IELTS with flying colors. He passed his exams with flying colors. She passed her job interview with flying colors. To pursue studying. Peter would like to pursue studies in the future to become a lawyer. She wants to pursue studying after high school. To take a year out. Many graduates want to take a year out to save the money they need to embark on a course of further study. My son took a year out and went traveling to Japan. She took a year out to travel around South America. Concentrate. He couldn't concentrate on his lessons. His mind was on other things. You might need to concentrate on what you're reading in order to understand it. If you make so much noise, I can't concentrate on my homework. Distraction. He worked hard all morning, without distraction. The baby's constant crying drove me to distraction. My kids drive me to distraction at times. Thesis. Sarah has been working on her thesis for over a year and she still has lots of work to do. Lucy wrote her doctoral thesis on contemporary Germany literature. Assignment. I'm feeling much more confident in doing my first college assignment. He stayed up all night finishing his assignment. The student apologized for handing in his assignment late due to his illness. Controversy. His views have excited a lively controversy among fellow scientists. His latest book has attracted a lot of controversy. Theoretical. The training is practical rather than theoretical. To be poor at something. I am poor at drawing. He is very poor at maths at school. Certificate. The language certificate has 3 levels: basic, intermediate and advanced. TOEFL, TOEIC and IELTS are English certificates which aim for academic use and are widely used around the world. Diploma. Have you actually seen Tom's diploma? He is a commerce graduate with a diploma in computer applications. Degree. It took him 6 years to get his bachelor's degree in math. My sister got her law degree in 2010. To resit an exam. The teacher forced him to resit the exam the week after. Pupils who score less than 5 marks have to resit the test. Skip classes. He often skips classes. Bullied students tend to skip classes because they feel uncomfortable at school.
Memorable. His wedding was a memorable event for all. Graduation ceremony is a memorable event for all students. Specialty. Her specialty is English literature. His specialty is criminal law. To gain. An internship will help students gain experience. Reading books is a way to gain knowledge. Schedule. He always has a full schedule. She has been forced to adjust her schedule. Inspiring. What he said at the meeting today was very inspiring. I find these quotes very inspiring. Rewarding. Teaching young children is a challenging and rewarding job. I find learning languages to be very rewarding. Vocational training. Although vocational training is career-oriented, a few types of professions require a college degree. Unwind. Listening to music helps me to unwind after a busy day at work. Meditation is a tool that can help people unwind and let go of stress. Encouraging. He sent me an encouraging message. A coach is encouraging his team. Parents often use encouraging words to motivate their children to achieve high standards. Strict. Her English teacher is very strict. Both of my parents are not strict with me. Supportive. My girlfriend was very supportive when I was ill. His boss was very supportive and gave him time off work. Keep track of. I can't keep track of the new music. Bank statements help you keep track of where your money is going. Strive. We must strive to secure steady growth. He strove very hard to remain calm. Break. Let's take a short break. We usually have a short break for lunch, then start to work again at 2 o'clock. Sincerity. He impressed her with his sincerity. If you question her sincerity, do not ask for her help. Disclose. I can't disclose that information yet. He disclosed to me that he had been in prison. Recall. I can't recall his name at the moment. I failed to recall the book's title. A heavy workload. Due to the heavy workload, many employees suffer from depression. He's struggling to cope with the heavy workload. Bullying. The older boy causes problems at school by bullying younger children. Bullying isn't just done with kids, adults bully each other too. Competent. Tom is regarded as the most competent employee. She is a competent teacher. Excel. He excels in sports and in many other activities. Rebecca always excels in languages at school. To fall behind with your studies. These students regularly miss classes and fall behind with their studies. To impose discipline. The teacher misused his ability to impose discipline on his students. Attendance record. He has a good attendance record. Lucy, who is a fine student, has a perfect attendance record. Tertiary education/higher education. More than 50% of secondary school pupils going on to tertiary education. Excessive alcohol used by tertiary education students is well documented. To accumulate. He accumulated a large fortune by hard work. People tend to spend a greater proportion of their incomes when they accumulate more wealth. Bedtime reading. Bedtime reading with your child can have a fantastic effect on enhancing your child's attention span. Bedtime reading helps get children to sleep. Kindergarten equals preschool education. Can you remember your kindergarten teacher's name? He and I have been friends since kindergarten. A native speaker. Speak like a native speaker by using sentence stress in English. He doesn't think it's necessary for him to sound like a native speaker, he just wants to be able to speak fluently. To have a good grasp of. He doesn't have a good grasp of the principles yet. After taking a year-long computer course, Peter had a good grasp of computer programming.